Bolton Council. I have not done much reading into this because I got in late last night. But basically, from the 3rd of June, they've just put an emergency Article 4 on the whole area. I was just trying to find the numbers, which I had it all last.
What makes it an emergency?
Basically, just put a restriction immediately. So anyone they're going to have to Whitehall are going to have to basically remove the right, but they've stopped it because they've gone from like 100 and something HMOs to like 700 HMOs. And where is it? As of the 13th of June 2025, Bolton has clamped down on the small HMO conversions. Any new applications now require full planning permission, and the community consultation window closes on the 25th of July. Bolton Council introduced an emergency Article 4 direction on the 13th of June, removing permitted development rights and converting homes into small HMOs. This means any new HMO conversions now require full planning permission. Public consultation is open to 25th of July, which after the council will decide whether to make the restriction permanent. Normally, because they have to give you 12 months' notice, don't they? If you're going to take an area of Article 4, they have to go 12. You have to inform Whitehall and specific areas. Well, I think the problem's so out of control, they've literally just put a clamp down on the whole area.
We're doing this, even though they might not legally be able to actually put it through.
Existing small HMOs, if converted before 13th of June, are grandfathered and unaffected. New conversions or any work begin afterwards. Because you'd be buying properties in the planning process, and all of a sudden they just put this restriction on. It might be worth finding a news article about it, but I thought it's just quite interesting that the council just think they've got the right to do that. Here we go. So why now? The council cities a sharp increase in HMO conversions, rising from roughly 170 to 720, and concerns over community impacts in areas like Horwich. Local data suggests higher rates of crime and nuisance complaints near HMOs prompting the move. What's next? The Article 4 direction is already in effect, but it's subject to consultation and confirmation. Residents, landlords.
I think that though there is for listeners is a telling lesson, because we operate in the UK's legal jurisdiction, right? And in Wales, for example, we had several sites, even allocated sites, going through the planning system. And with immediate effect, the Welsh government brought in a new requirement affecting even sites already in the planning system. Regardless of the carnage it caused us, we had several sites that were compliant and then actually non-compliant. One of them that we just got planning for recently, but after a 2-year delay. One of them, we're probably going to have to go to appeal. We don't know how it's going to be, and we're in it for 6 figures. So what I'm trying to get at is that risk, that risk is relevant to anybody. So whenever you're doing deals, keep in the back of your mind in terms of your risk register, what happens if they're U-turn? How can you structure the deals or if you're not going to structure the deal and you're going to buy something unconditionally, how quickly can you enact your plan, basically? How much can you reduce the amount you're open for potential changes, which is the risk? Time is a risk in the UK.
Councils don't care about the extra costs. They have no intention or give it a second's thought about the consequences of that. I mean, can you imagine the delays and then trying to compensate and trying to claim back and trying to go to appeal and trying to speak to government and Whitehall and trying to explain your case? I mean, it exhausts me thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, I've just found an article that was released on the 2nd of May 2025 talking about how they're already trying to bring in Article 4 direction in Bolton. So I'm sure, there was, even though it's emergency and that sounds really drastic, I'm sure it was the talk of the town for a little bit of a while.
I mean, it's quite a jump.
We're looking at this as a potential negative. That you cannot deliver HMOs in Bolton anymore, which is, reality. Not everything lasts forever, but the areas that we operate in do not have an Article 4 direction. And I've always thought to myself, if an Article 4 direction came in, that would be the time to exit, because that is like the pinnacle of value for you. If you've built an established portfolio in an area that now people can't compete with, you could then potentially look at exiting, or actually benefit for your existing stock that you've got in place. So I think there's a huge benefit. I would actually be probably equally as unhappy as I am happy that Article 4 direction comes into a location.
Yeah, I think I think we spoke about this on the pod before, and to give you guys an idea, I've been speaking to a few different HMO operators over the last few weeks. I'm not going to name names, and I won't mention towns. Well, I'll tell you guys off air, but what's happening is it's like imagine it like fucking traffic lights around the country, just that you got a map of the UK and all the lights are on, and it's just like lights are just going out everywhere for not just where Article 4 is coming in, but for where HMOs are tenable. because there's so many investors getting into HMOs, particularly in southern areas like the South Coast, East London, parts of West London. I do think London's probably more central London's going to be probably quite protected because of just the demand's insane. But places in the north as well, we've seen it in 2 towns we operate in where we've pulled out the markets there. And I think it's just going to be a trend because of the amount of investors coming into HMOs. And I'd love to see an annual growth rate on how many new rooms are now on the market on net, how many new net rooms each year are coming on the market. And I think since COVID, it's probably an exponential curve.
HMOs are actually down. So it's from HMO rooms disappearing every year. It's 39,828 is what's being lost. And new demand every year is 27,704. What was the other set? So we need, this is Matt's stats from last night. I just took some pictures of his presentation, but 67,000 rooms are needed every year, which is 11,262 6-bed HMOs. And then his case was, why would you do 6-bed HMOs when you can do 20-bed HMOs? And obviously only about 3,500.
I understand he's got stats, but I'm talking to operators and they're struggling to rent rooms, and I've seen it. So there might be more. Maybe it's an affordability thing. Maybe it's just the rent levels now, even on a HMO, are just too high, and people are making that decision to just be more frugal. Maybe quality,
location. But I don't think HMO works everywhere. It will for the right price, but
yeah, it's going to be dependent, isn't it? There's going to be some areas that fly out and some areas.
These were proper good HMO areas, and they've just there's just too many rooms on the market. It's a natural supply and demand, isn't it? But I think some city locations would probably be all right, and maybe it'll bounce back. Maybe it's just people a bit worried at the moment because of the cost of living, and they're like, you know what, I'll just stay with mum and dad for a bit longer, and I'll make a decision later. Maybe employment's coming down as well, and the employers are being less aggressive. Maybe there's some other correlations, but
I'm finding the exact opposite. We're finding HMO rooms going in hours. Yeah, literally. I can pull it up on a Thursday. It's gone by Saturday, and they've done viewings for a day, and they've had 2 or 3 viewings, and one's put a bid in. It's that quick, and it's good asking price because we're not trying to convert any house into any room into HMO. We're trying to go for 9 to 20 square meter rooms that are effectively studio flats with the added benefit of the kitchenette and the ensuite, and people love them because they are literally like mini flats that they can rent. And it does so much for them in terms of almost like a subscription based model where they know exactly it's going to cost them £8,000-9,000 a month, and that's it. They can live 6 months to 2 years, and our people on 35 to 50 grand a year, mid 20s to mid 40s, and they just need somewhere they want to call home. It's perfect. But I just don't think that you should convert every house in every area. There's a slot. You need to go where the work is. You need to go where train stations are. And
I mean, I hope they bring an Article 4 in more areas. I think that will be a smart thing to do in some, particularly places like Darlington. They need to bring an Article 4. I've watched a whole street go from being a shithole into a HMO street, and it's a much better street for it now. But literally every other house is HMO.
It does surprise me why you want more restrictions and more Article 4s. It's basically the free market will decide. If there's too many HMOs and people got to lower their prices, that's
because the issue is, that's one way of thinking about it. The other way of thinking about it is, and we're seeing this happen in Darlington and in some other areas, if an investor has built a HMO on a street that could otherwise be a good street, they've put the money in, they can't rent it on the free market. So what do? They go to the council, they go to a provider, and then they stick a load of social tenants in there, and then that drags down the social quality of the street. So there's got to be caution, not only for the private rental stock, but also for the locals that live and call that place home. And I've watched streets. There's a street called Beach Road in South Shields, and fuck me, it's just social housing HMOs after social housing HMOs, and it is the roughest street in a really, really nice part of the town. And these are beautiful big Victorian houses, but they're just all social tenants, and it's you don't go down there, and it's a problem for the council to deal with. And locals are, fuck me, we put an apartment planning permission in for an apartment scheme there. They thought we were doing HMOs, and the amount of pushback we had was insane from locals sending me emails and all sorts how dare you do this? We've been dealing with this for the last decade. And I'm like, no, we're doing apartments. Look at the planning application. Don't just high level it and have a go. But there is also some other consideration, I think, for just what it actually does to some of these streets if they don't have some sort of restriction. Because, it might not work privately, then they're just going to give it to the council, and then you just end up fucking up the area for the rest of your stock. So there's a balancing function, I think.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you go and subscribe to the Ground Up Podcast.